Natural resources are very essential in the development of the country. In Uganda, over 90% of the population solely derive their livelihood from natural resources with no foreseeable alternative in the near future. Unfortunately, many of these resources have been severely degraded. Encroachers used the loopholes in the laws inherited by the post-independence government to degrade the resources almost with impunity. The laws denied the communities access to the resources that formed their major source of livelihood. This bred hatred between them and the law enforcement agents, and so the communities could not stop nor report the encroachers to the authorities. They too would only use the resources stealthily. The laws were also very hard to enforce, given the vastness of the protected nature reserves and the limited resources available to police them effectively.
So degradation of those resources actually continued to take its toll on the wetland resources and forests. And now it was realized that there was a need for an approach now to include the communities in management of those resources, since they are the people who live close to these natural resources. And therefore, the 1995 wetland policy, the 2001 forest policy, and then the 2003 Forestry and Tree Planting Act provide for community participation in the management of wetlands and forests, but they were not adequately being implemented by the lead agencies, that is NFA and the Wetland Management Division.
It is with this background that CARE International in Uganda designed the 4-year project codenamed Strengthening Local Governance in Natural Resources Management to redress the situation. The project is designed to demonstrate that empowering the communities to own and utilize these natural resources in a sustainable manner is the foundation to sustainable development. CARE International in Uganda implements the project through civil society organizations in the districts of Kasese, Kabarole, and Kyenjojo under the REPA 2 program.
The Rights, Equity and Protected Areas program is funded by DONIDA through CARE Denmark and has 3 sub-components. The first one is the cost and benefits. The second one is community-based natural resource management. And the third component is the Batwa empowerment that is exclusively implemented in the Kigeze region. Now, SLOGIN contributes to the first 2 components through building and supporting emergence of community structures that are engines for good governance in natural resources. The other one is empowering women participation in natural resource management, strengthening the capacity of communities to demand for accountability, for improved governance, working with government and lead agencies in being responsive or building their capacity to undertake community-based natural resource management. We have a component of improving livelihoods through providing for alternative incomes for the natural resource adjacent communities, and the SLOGIN project is working in 8 sub-counties, that is Lake Katwe sub-county and Mahango in Kasese, Karambi, Mugusu and Hakibale sub-county in Kabarole district, Kihura, Charusozi and Butiti sub-counties in Kyenjojo. The other component of SLOGIN that is not site-specific is that we get the local level initiatives and link them with the national level initiatives, particularly for advocacy, informing and influencing the policy makers, but also disseminating the lessons for replication.
In Kabarole and Kyenjojo districts, Care International in Uganda collaborated with Caritas Fort Portal and joint effort to save the environment, Kasese in short, to mobilize and sensitize community members neighboring Itwara and the Matiri forests on their rights, roles, and responsibility in the sustainable management of forestry resources. The two forests are a major source of livelihood of the surrounding communities, as well as a home of endemic species of flora and fauna, making up the rich ecosystem of the region. So, through a series of sensitization meetings, training seminars, and exposure visits conducted during the project time, the community members now appreciate that these forests belong to them and they have a right to utilize and benefit fully from them.
Ekibira eki nyowe ninda ntuza kukirinda tulinde mubwinganiza turamanya ngu ekitwalinda ntuza kugoboramo mulingo gwitu nk'abantu abakiherereye kana government nayo eje goborero mulingo gwa
amageza gabatwegeseze akakuga mukibira munumbi batugambire naito tulinde ekibira kuba cyo nikituhorwa narwo kutuyamba ito abantu kandi okukwija abantu bakakitema bakimara nitutunga oburwaire nitutunga omusana nitujwebwe ekiyanda.
The project has also harmonized the relationship between the communities and the National Forestry Authority, NFA, the government body charged with fostering sustainable management of the forestry resources in the country.
Ekitero kino kikatakayizire tukaba tuine challenge ya amani ekizibu ekikuru cyali oruhenda orukubaganiza ekibira nebanja byabataka nebizibu ebindi byali ebisore byali tulire byokulya nekyali kizibu ky'amaani muno abantu bakabatandikire kula ekibira tikibaina omugaso kyonka kuraba muke abakeya through Kasese obayizire batugarama amani batwegesa bakingwire ekitebe kyaitu. We are confident we can coexist nebintu byaitu byona ensonga zaitu zone zitwasabire twamanya nabajja kukora bajja kuzikiriza ntuhura natwe tuina amani nitugenda mu maiso n'ekitebe kyaitu.
The converted communities have since agreed to form collaborative forest management associations through which to enter formal contracts with government agencies stipulating their rights, roles and duties in managing the forest resources. They are now in late stages of signing a memorandum of understanding to manage this resource for posterity.
The responsible body in this case, which is the National Forest Authority, will sign an agreement with the village organization to manage the Central Forest Reserve and give technical guidance to the communities in the management of the whole forest reserve.
Ninyoni nindeba kukolengana n'abana ba NFA n'aba Kasese nindeba kige kintu kirungi munonga ukolera ngo batwayika habwire bwunu bwo kuza kwikira kolendagano kandi batwegesa emishomo mirungi kandi nindeba ngo byo buhango bokse batwegesa ntuza kugobororamo twihemo mbaho twiheme ibintu byo kutuyamba no kurinda ihamba kurungi kugira ngo batarishishe.
Ubwire bunu twayika omu step ya mushanju okukora ebiturate omundagano kuturabe twamalize ndagano nituza okongeraho akibira okubyaraho emiti no kutanga abashuma okushisha emiti.
They will also use the same associations to mobilize many more members, especially those neighboring these forests, to join the association and to demand for accountability from the local authorities designated to manage the natural resources on their behalf.
People are demanding to know what is happening in the forest. I had a meeting with the environment monitors, this part of the Kabenda group, and they were asking me a lot of questions. You want you to explain how you got this money and what you used it for. They asked me, people are cutting timber in Itwara, and we don't want it. People are planting trees in Itwara, much as acceptable. We don't know. And they passed this on over to NFA. They now feel the forest is theirs. It helps us to get illegal activities, but it means us as the government officials and other organization officials that are paid salary, we are being put on our toes to make sure that we do what we are supposed to do and report to these people.
Already, the communities have started implementing the interventions to conserve the forest, but at the same time safeguarding their plants from the destructive animals. The communities, particularly those neighboring the forest, have started planting the Mauritius thorn hedge to keep away the animals that used to destroy their crops.
Ndatisa ndalindaho chonka ndatisa chonka kujeshire bangambiramo nenatamamani nunura kunjechi namani kugariho gunteremo ndagarira yangu nati ninko bitatagira kitashwa kugira nanyi nkaba nkabandi nuri no bwana hati hanyuma naguma nabwo ambo baso kati nyinamani bwo kuza gukora handi kandi impana abigurire kandi no kukibuza atari hati hanyuma reka nkore njireki nkore niko basi nko kubandagirire niko hakinanye nkaba nkabandi.
Hati tumazire kuvyara ekichweka kiri kwingana mita nkenkumi 3 n'orusanju 8 betu ntikyayongera kuvyara esigadeyo kichweka kikoto ka kilomita 8.
Besides planting the Mauritius thorn fence, the community members have also started planting hot pepper, both for repelling the destructive animals and to sell off the surplus to boost their incomes.
Twatweyo twasomesewa kamari nke enu ntugihemba mu kikomi nuko nesoha ebisore ebi tibugena misiri y'abantu.
In areas where large animals such as elephants are the problem, the farmers were advised to excavate huge trenches to block them from reaching their gardens. The group members have also planted trees on their farms as an alternative source of firewood, building poles and income as one of the measures to reduce pressure from the forests.
Obamazire kutendeka bakatuletera embibo zemiti ebikanka 5 hali mu caritus hali mu coriandra iyo kubyara mu misiri kuletamo urwezo haliho emiti ya patura haliho nemiti yendi ya musizi yambaho emiti iri around 3 hectares more aboko buliyoma katwara kubyara mu musiri gwe.
The project not only empowers communities to actively participate in natural resources management, but also to demand for essential services which can help them to live a more comfortable life.
Omukichweka kyaitu kino nambere kibera kiri irwaro lirihara muno riri omumayiro mukaga kandi abantu nibarwara muno. Antwija nke kitebe kuhandikira ministry kwatwaho tuboleka ebizibwe bitwini ntusaba irwaro baritera hihana nuko abantu baitu abetorere kibera n'abana baitu bajanjabwe handwire zikuruga mu kibera kiramune zikuletwa ebijuju ebisore biriyo n'ebindi kandi nitumanya irwaro turi kujya kwanga kwija ekikuru muno bakubanze batuletera emisomo batwegesa nko kuturayirinde endwaire no kuzitangira.
Care International in Uganda collaborated with Caritas to mobilize and empower communities surrounding Muhora wetland in Kabarole district, Hahocha and Kyenjojo wetlands in Kasese district to demonstrate how the wetland resource can be utilized in a sustainable manner.
Wetlands are very important in the district of Kasese. They form part of our water resources system, but about 2/3 of all our wetlands have been encroached upon, and about 1/3 have been converted to farmlands. People in about 3 parishes entirely depend on Kahocha wetland for their water requirements, and that vital wetland must be protected immediately. Then Chanzus ni Mahangu, it is a part of the system that is connected to River Nganji, which supplies the Kasese Municipal Council with water. Then a system connected to River Muhocha that supplies the Muhocha irrigation scheme. So we also looked at that system in Kyenjojo as also vital, which needed immediate protection and management.
Basing on the acquired knowledge and information, a commendable number of community members have over the time changed their attitude towards the wetlands. They now sustainably harvest the resources they are in and safeguard it from any form of destructive activities.
Hatu twamanyire kintu kino mugaso twatunga obujunanizo nogenda mpora kurungi numweteraniza nk'abakazi omurambo bokwihaye imfunzo numwihaye imfunzo zanye zikubamara nosana kutyesengereza bokwano hamwe kintu ekira kujama tosobora kusisa nakati
nerabara twabirutungenye sibwa bamenyegesha namarake Kasese enabara tuhesha sente mitolo ebirinini nerabara babinyegesha namarake Kasese.
Unia is now the leading crusader of conserving the wetlands, and she has since been elected a member of Kyenjojo Wetland Management Committee. The committee is charged with the responsibility of mobilizing the rest of the community members to implement the wetland management plan designed by the communities under the guidance of the Department of Natural Resources in the district. Kyenjojo Wetland Management Plan, just like Kahocha and Muhora Wetland Management Plans, were approved and launched by the Minister of Water and Environment. The ceremony brought together a wide range of stakeholders at the local and national level. This is one of the strategies used by the project to show all stakeholders that the communities, if empowered, can manage their resources effectively. Already, communities surrounding Kyenjojo Wetland have started implementing their 5-year Kyenjojo Wetland Management Plan.
So we managed to recover 80 acres on the part which was degraded before subsidization, and as I say now, that part had never been encroached anymore.
But not everything is rosy. There are, as expected, some pockets of resistance, but sooner than later, all the community members will be socialized to conform to the new standards. The local council leadership works in partnership with the wetland management committees to sensitize the community members to appreciate the need to change or face the wrath of the bylaws, but not before regularizing the boundaries of the wetland. For some community members claim that they bought the land and they are not sure whether they are in or outside the wetland.
Ukamba akasende ngaya ulahangende vingareni neri nanga kusira hana neri wasanga nomuntu isale kweriki ejare gandara iwelebya arinde chesoche kibyeho abana bayibatinda bangauti 10 gibingama wabende kwa government na kwa Kasese.
The demarcation of wetlands is a policy issue. We were with the minister in Mahango. We presented a petition to her. She said that the ministry is developing guidelines of demarcating wetlands. And the guidelines will first be piloted in Kampala. After the pilot, that's when now they will bring them down to these other wetlands.
Kahocha, another wetland in Kasese district, has to a large extent been restored, and the communities are already enjoying the fruits of their decision and effort. For example, the women now have more time to do other development work since they no longer move long distances in search of water.
The wetland is now almost covering something like 20 acres beginning from up and along the valley, and people have cited and have accepted to conserve it.
The management committee members attribute this success to the empowerment of the community about the need to conserve their wetland.
Twabirutunga mani awarebya itwanga ni mano mwabantu itwe bwatuse iwerekerere mahalia neryo inyowa omulenge wetu eyirwa arebya itwabiri mu mera hauma nebe twabiri koragana na Caritas Kasese haimane care babiri tuha mani yayo ese nutuko tunautia mani itwanga na ibezi yaho Caritas Kasese no miyanga bese chikora na tukutie care itwe siara itunalindira Kasese chetu.
The introduction of the alternative income generating projects simplified the drive even further. It demonstrated to the members that it is possible to live even a much better life without degrading the wetland. This, according to Bira Beki, motivated many members to abandon the overdependence on the wetlands, but to adopt the sustainable method of utilizing these resources.
We also trained them in kitchen gardens.
Another thing.
We thought, as people have come out of the wetland, they can now dig up small gardens, planting the eggplants, tomatoes, onions, can take them to market, sell, and then get some money, which will help him or her save in the group. We did VNCLOA as a way of uniting these people, bringing them together to share some issues. We also trained them in selection and management planning as a way of supporting them to sustain themselves. We also took these people to Shema district to see how these other people are conserving the wetland.
In Kabarole, Mugusu Karam Itwerwaneho Wetland Association is 2 years into the implementation of their 5-year Mohora Wetland Management Plan. They have finished zoning the wetland into different resource use compartments and formed resource user groups of members with similar interests. This crafts makers group has decided to take their work to another level. They make innovative crafts products and collectively market them to supplement their incomes. With the awareness growing by the day and the benefits of the wetland to the community conspicuously standing out, community members who had illegally fenced off bits of the resource have been summoned to abandon their selfish interests for the multiple benefits of the wetland to the community. Although the project has come to the end, it has built the capacity of the different stakeholders variously relating to the management of natural resources in the 3 districts of Kasese, Kabarole and Kyenjojo.
Actually, some of us did not know how to convince the community and come up with a management plan, but now I can ably handle. Point number 2, coming up with a bylaw that will be implemented by the community themselves is an experience I got from CARE. We have WWF that is working on Mubuku and Nyamwamba catchments in the Semuliki catchment management project. They also in the process of coming up with the management plans and some bylaws. They have also come up to the department and asked how CARE was doing it to come up with these plans. And I think they also bought a leaf from CARE to see how to come up with these plans. And also the documents we have put in place, even the technical backup we have already got, will assist us in soliciting for more funding. When you write your concept and say we have A, B, C and D in place, but we need to fund some section X in the management plan, it will be easy for a donor to accept giving you some funding based on what you already have on ground.
I've also benefited a lot in capacity building in areas of advocacy, gender, accountability, and proposal writing. We are able to write more proposals, submit to other donors, to solicit for funds, which can also help us to continue running in this arrangement of ensuring the sustainable use of natural resources in the diocese.
The sub-counters appreciated the need to preserve and manage wetlands, and given that we have gone ahead to place it in our development plan for the 5 years and also in our budget, I'm very optimistic that we can still sustain the activities of wetland management in the sub-county.
There is a STAR program, something to do with sustainable tourism. We are planning to have EcoTrust, our other partner, to work with these people so that they have other initiatives that they can do to sustain their work, especially by making their places tourist attracting sites. We have a community-based monitoring system that is on ground. These are people who are living around this very wetland. We have wetland management committees who are not paid. They are working voluntarily on their own wetlands. And the protection and the conservation that has been there has been work of the community themselves. No one is forcing them, but it's their own initiative. So the project will be sustainable. And even if after a decade, you can come and find that work down.
The road to the end of the project has not been a smooth ride, but every challenge overcome is a lesson that can inform future interventions.
During the implementation of this project, we have learned that through building of community structures, we can have a community that is vibrant enough to manage natural resources effectively. We have also learned that when communities are working together with the lead agencies, conflicts can be reduced and natural resources can be effectively managed. And also that through participation of many stakeholders in natural resources management, that is communities, lead agencies, and other non-governmental organizations, we can solicit, we can mobilize resources to manage natural resources.